Hello, welcome to February 28th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is something that I do every morning, shortly after waking up. It's now 4:14 a.m. I'm a little ahead of schedule. There's a car alarm that went off started going off about a half an hour ago. Woke me up about 10-15 minutes before the alarm went off at 4 a.m. And so that's why. So we might hear it. It goes beep, beep, beep about every 5 minutes. Anyway, I make this video to do just that, to go over my life objectives and principles and to plan for the coming day. And I also reflect on yesterday and the challenges and opportunities that I encountered. So let's get started. Oh, and by the way, I've had COVID this is day 10. But I'm feeling pretty good now. I think I'm pretty much over the hump. I'll take the test this morning again and hopefully get a negative result. There's the horn. So last night and yesterday, I slept pretty good except for waking up with the alarm going off. It wasn't worried. I didn't wake up thinking about work. That's nice. Yesterday was a tough morning yesterday. I was anxious about work in the morning. And I worked really hard. I start work at 6:30 a.m. and by about 9:30, 10 o'clock, I had completed all my day's work. So I really had a good solid day of work. Pardon me. And then from there, it just, kept on climbing. Excuse me. In fact, I ended up working an hour of overtime on top of that. So, and I always feel good when I work hard. I always feel good afterwards. And I did yesterday. I was tired though. I had a nice meeting, so to speak, with my nephew, Parker, in the afternoon, just he and I. We talked about various and sundries, and I strummed my guitar, and I wound up composing a little song, which was nice. First time I've ever done anything like that. Well, I did that Gerd channel in Japan, which was kind of music of a sort, like, created on my iPhone. But the first time actually on the guitar, wow, that was fun. Oh, here comes Ollie. He's going to barge the door open. Let me go close the door that he opened so unceremoniously. It's enough that the honking horn is keeping my wife awake. She doesn't need to hear my voice down the hall. Okay, let's do the Good Life Creed. And by the way, good morning, Parker, if you see this. And good morning to the new friends that I made at Emily's school. Emily called me yesterday and told me that there were a couple of her schoolmates that wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn. And she put them on the phone, and I got to talk with them. That was fun. Come here. You want to come over here? Ollie, come here. Number one, the first objective is to be always ready to die, to have everything in order. My life's purpose, my connections with my people. No, I'm not saying it right. To have everything in order. My affairs, my relationships, and my life's work. Number two is to make good and effective use of time. To find ways to make a good day out of every opportunity. To not just let it, glide by like another pendulum swing on the clock, but to make it unique and interesting and ironic in some way. Three is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's this thing that I call the Good Life Creed that I'm doing right now. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. To become someone who reacts well to difficult circumstances. Keeps my cool. 5, to perform good actions. Just to do good things throughout the day. Big things, little things, medium things too. And then number 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I'm not reaching for things beyond my grasp, and that I am attending to things that I can reach. And then lastly, number 7, is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, to not multitask, and to be diligent and true in my endeavors. Okay, now my 34 principles. These are the things that I use, the tools that I use to achieve the objectives that I just mentioned. Number 1 is war, to always be fighting against truth, to attempt to disprove it. Or I should say, things that I have already brought on board as true, or that I suspect might be true. 2, reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation, which are the characteristics that I want to have as a reasonable human being in approaching the world, looking at it truthfully and objectively, skeptically, and welcoming the discovery that I'm wrong with open arms. The homunculus is the next principle. That's just a funny word to describe my consciousness, which is what I focus on in place of a soul, because I don't think I have a soul. I am a soulless beast, just like the rest of us. Next is the anchor hold. A further reminder beyond the fact that I'm soulless, to the fact that what I do have, my consciousness, is trapped within my body and won't escape my death or my degradation or my dissolution, my what's the word? My deconstruction, no. My aging and falling apart. Struggling to find the right D word for that. Dissolution, maybe. Next is the home of good and evil. Right and wrong are just mere opinions that we have. They don't exist on their own out in the universe. It's good to remember that. We have to work at them. It's not a matter of discovering right and wrong. It's a matter of ascertaining and then having good reasons for the things that we think are true or good, and the things that we think are bad. And to look at why our opinions may differ from others. It's hard work, but it's worthwhile work. It's the worthy work of a soulless beast. Okay, after that, is the principle of purpose. In my life, there are 3 sub-principles. These are biology, the seeming mandate of our innate nature, which is to find a mate and to reproduce and to raise that child, protect it, raise it to maturity, or at least adult viability. That's number 1. Number 2 is to be a virtuous man. My second purpose is to be a virtuous man, where virtue isn't an ambiguous thing. It's specifically the pursuit and the achievement of the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. And number 3 is whatever personal purpose I choose to strive towards, which for me is the sharing of the story and the message and the creed contained in my book, Going Along. Next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, atoms and molecules that tend to fall to pieces, and then get reconstituted into something else. So too you and me. And then the principle of nature. Everything and everyone has some particular nature. It's the nature of car alarms to go off. I should expect it and not be surprised, and certainly not troubled when it happens at 3:45 a.m. Then comes the pirate ride. The proposition that free will is a seeming illusion. I don't think we're free. I think we are constrained by the machinations of the universe, not predestined necessarily. There's enough randomness in the subatomic world to keep things mixed up, but we are compatible with what this happenings around us. We exist and think and believe that we are somehow in control, but I don't think we are. I think we're just more complicated versions of dominoes falling over, or leaves blowing in the wind, etc. You would think that would be a freeing thought, but somehow it isn't. I'm not convinced. I believe it, but I'm not convinced, because my brain is wired in such a way as to believe the story that free will is true. Can't quite get beyond that. Okay, next comes maturity, the principle of maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude and humiliation. Maturity is that state we arrive at when we have the wisdom of our experience, and then the fortitude to do better, to overcome and to avoid our past mistakes, and to improve upon our successes. And then we can enjoy the integrity of a life that's lived in accord with our values and what's important to us. Because maturity grants us that integrity by virtue of our effort and our wisdom. Next comes the social principle and the sub-principles of diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy, and integrity. 4. The social principle speaks to the need to work together to create social networks that we can then use to build the better city, the city that pursues justice. And we get there by diplomacy, the art of negotiation and of persuasion and of reconciliation and acquiescing, where we realize that the better argument has been offered. And then we can become or create a world which is has greater integrity. No, justice. I got it mixed up a little bit. That is the world of justice. Somehow I feel like I'm missing this one up. By the way, all of these are in my book, Going Alone. Available on Amazon, or you can get it off my bookstore. You can get it on my social media posts, or it should be in my YouTube channel, but I don't think it's showing up there yet. So let's look it up. The social principle. What are the sub-principles therein? Diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy. Oh, that's it. So I did mix it up a little bit. So diplomacy is how we reach consensus, how we reach agreement with others. Justice is what we're pursuing. And then conspiracy is where we link arm in arm to make it happen. The next is, see, they're all listed in here. No, the next one is not even in here. This is an old copy. Is the principle of family. Klutz. The principle of family is a mere suggestion, but heartfelt suggestion, that we should develop a nucleus of family in our life. It could be the type that you put a ring on, or it could be the type that, whether it's the family or the friends that you choose. Whatever the case, that is a key element in a happy and good life. And what's the word? Struggling a little bit for the words a little bit this morning with COVID. A wholesome life. We need people. Then comes public speaking. There's a suggestion to be able to learn to communicate well, listen and speak and compose our thoughts well in our writing. And the sub-principles here are best words, to establish a good solid vocabulary that we can use in our life. Not to be show-offy with it, but to use it well, to convey our meaning well. I think I need the help of the book this morning. Struggling just a little bit. Best words, prudence. Prudence is the ability to filter our communication through our values. Eloquence is the ability to speak well through modeling and practice. And there's also should be felicity. It's not in here, but it's in the newer books. Felicity is the ability to season our communication with our emotions so they have some flavor. And then rumor and gossip, things to avoid. And the negative side of communication. Next comes temperance. Temperance is our ability to control our consumption. And then life will not go well. It won't. It's going to have rough patches and speed bumps all along the way. And then the horror show. The fact that life sometimes goes horribly, awfully terrible. It's happening to people around us right now. And it's coming for each of us. Good luck preparing. And then that which must be born is the next principle. Born with an E, carried. And what that is the fact of the horror show and the fact that life won't go well. We have to bear that fact throughout our lives. Next comes the feast of offal, which is the waste and byproduct of our intemperate living when we spew our upset into the world and contaminate and hurt others by our showy pain. I prefer to kind of hold it in, to find better ways to deal with it and not hurt other people by my releasing the steam of my emotions upon them. Likewise, the Feast of Offal happens when we witness the feast being shared by others, and we choose to keep our mouth shut and not consume it because it contaminates us. Next comes the restless man. No. Is that right? Wow. What happened to? How interesting. Well, this is a real old copy. Restless Man, the Path of Wildness we live in. Wait, hold on just a second. What did I do? Well, I missed a page. That's what I did. There it is. I knew it. I don't need the book from this point forward. The principle of distraction suggests that we spend our lives distracting ourselves from the emptiness of the universe, which is the next principle, the great indifference, the great emptiness, the deep void in the universe where God does not exist. And instead we are faced with the universe on our own. That's what we distract ourselves from. And we do that with all the things that we keep us busy in life, our school and our work and our play and our hobbies and our family and our politics and our music and our religion and our God. All of these are great big distractions to fill our lives so that we don't have to realize that we are responsible to work together with our fellows to, as I said, build the better city, to be responsible for our lives. It's a weighty, weighty thing to carry. Next comes the restless man. It speaks to a feeling that we have in our late teens and early 20s that may grow and develop, where we want something more out of life than just the traditional path. If we choose to step out into that direction, then we venture on what I call the path of wildness, which is the road, the segue, the merging, the venue that leads into the new life, which then yields what I call the next principle, the great life adventure, which is one or more stories that become our own by virtue of the fact of the courage that we had to step off of the path that we were on onto a new life, to create a new life, which pays great dividends even if we fail. It's hard to lose. It almost pays dividends if we die too, if it kills us. It's hard to go wrong on the path of wildness. Excuse me. Okay, next comes the risk of avoiding risk. There are two categories of extremities of the scale. The one is not taking risks, in which case we create a safe and sane and sober life for ourselves, but we may, if we were a restless man or woman, have longed for that and feel like we missed something all of our lives. Or we could go the other direction and indulge in the risk taking and the venue switching and the path of wildness living, in which case we may enjoy a very rich and diverse and interesting life full of lots of stories, but of adventure in particular. But at what cost? Did we give that up? Did we give up our home and our family and our security for that? The trick is to find a middle ground between the two, where you can have the sane and sober and the family and the home and the career and the security, all the while also finding ways to season your life with adventure. It can certainly be done. I chose to do it by every 2 weeks going off on a Sunday on my own into the wild, which then led to so many things. Next comes sin and damnation. Come on, Holly. There are 8 sins in my worldview, which together yield a form of damnation of sorts, where we are damned liars, damned fools, or damned rumors mongering gossips. And these 8 sins are falsity, being untrue; credulity, believing things too readily; faith, belief based on belief, which is nonsense; superstition, a categorical element of nonsense; dogma, belief founded upon tradition; authority, belief founded upon by being really impressed by the office, the carriage, the charisma, or the funny hat of some individual; and then rumor and gossip again. Brings us to 8. Engaging in any of these things makes us damned in the here and now. Complete oblivion is next. As I don't think I have a soul, I don't think anything's going to survive my death. So that'll be the end of me. Complete oblivion. There'll be no final reconciliation with my loved ones, no final reunion with them, of course, and no chance to have see final justice served. Because there's no soul, no afterlife, no God, no venue in which any of that can happen. All that awaits is the nothing that we may not remember from before we were born. The bullseye, no, not quite, a little ahead of myself. Script writing is the next principle. Script writing is the thing that we do to kind of forecast what's going to happen in the moments and the hours and the days ahead by thinking it through. I do this every day when I'm in my work with my meetings, imagining who might come to the meeting, what we might discuss, and how we might proceed. I use it also to lift up and move my spirit forward, move my mind forward, move my attitude and my feeling, my character forward in a more positive light by imagining positive outcomes. The bullseye aim is the next principle, and that's just a simple reminder that I can script write all I want and forecast and hope and work towards positive aims, but usually I'm going to miss the mark by some degree. It's really rare that I hit a square on bullseye. I should expect to not hit. I should be delighted when I do hit and not disappointed when I miss. The next principle is the uphill climb, the steady upward motion through life, climbing higher, gaining a more comprehensive and expansive vista of life in a mountain where there is no top. Next comes the arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of principles and objectives that we can use to live better and to improve our chance to achieve our goals. Next comes the principle of nothing is enough, a mere and simple reminder towards simplicity. And then lastly, the principle of fun, a reminder to have a good time or make a good attempt at it, to enjoy the day, to enjoy our remembrance of yesterday and the days beyond that, and then to also enjoy the anticipation of the coming days. I sure had a good time with my wife in Japan. We need something new to look forward to, so I'll be working on that. There you go. There's my Good Life Creed. 7 objectives and 34 principles laid out in the order in which I remember them every day and then work to apply them. Now, the last thing I'm going to do for this exercise is to plan for the coming day. And I keep this little list here and I kind of lay it out. There's the left side for work and the right side for my personal stuff. And for work, I see I already have one thing, the BRM, customer conflict. I'll also do a wave review for one of my projects. This is work-related stuff. That's all of the waves. That'll basically take my whole day doing just that alone. And then I'll catch up on some of the open action items and issues. And today is our final day for our wave for content review activity. I need to work on the domains for it too. Oh yeah, let's do a domain review. In terms of personal stuff, I'll write that down a little bit later. Not much. It's a work day, so I don't have time to attend to very much of that. But I still need to work on my taxes. But I blew my opportunity by, it's now back to the work week. I won't have a chance to do it until the weekend. Sorry, accountant. All right, that's pretty much it. Anticipated roadblocks. Not really. Can't really see any coming today. I've had a little problem with the computer. It's been acting up a little bit with one of the monitors, but and that is the kind of thing that can get me. It gets me frustrated when it happens. But I'll plan for it. If it happens, I'll just do the troubleshooting steps that I took before, and I won't get upset. I still have 2 monitors, so I can continue. If it happens during the meeting, I can continue working on those 2 monitors, move everything to the 1 monitor. But I will simply troubleshoot it like I did, which is to loosen some wires and then restart the computer. And with that, I'll stop. I'm getting way off in the weeds now. Thank you for joining me. I wish you all the best. Remember to be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. Take care.